Hello, I'm Cassie and welcome to my allotment journey. Although today I'm not on my allotment plot, although you may see me throughout this video gathering things from one of my allotment plots. Today I'm going to be making my wreaths, my Christmas wreaths, which I've been gathering materials for quite a few days. Let's see what we've got. So I'm drying out some orange slices using my dehydrator that unusually I keep in my greenhouse because I've got power here and no space in our kitchen. Just been and cut these. I don't quite know, I should look it up really, how long they take to dry, and I've also made a rookie error in slicing the first onion. I sliced it from top to bottom, and I therefore haven't got, or won't have, I don't think, that kind of nice, almost like a star shape of the segments that I've got with the second one that I cut. But you live and learn, and they'll probably be fine to use anyway. So yeah, these are potentially going to be used in the wreaths. I say wreaths plural. I don't know whether I'll get on to making more than one. I've probably got enough stuff for it. I was just about to go and collect some berries from my allotment, and I can hear, I thought the weather had brightened up a bit, but it's now just started raining. Typical. Right, yeah, I'm going to put the lid on that. Possibly have spread it to 2 layers, but I don't think I needed to. That's the lid on there. Switch it on. And I'm going to turn it up a bit because it was on quite low for comfort, but I think that can, yeah. So let's see how they turn out. So they are looking a bit grey and not hugely exciting in themselves, but I think these marjoram flowers, in and amongst other things, might be a quite interesting texture to add into my wreath. So I'm going to cut some of those. And I've noticed that there are a lot of hawthorn berries along the path that leads to the allotment. So there's lots of magpies playing in there at the moment. You might hear, you see them there squawking and playing about. So I won't be taking all of their berries, but there's plenty to spare for my wreath. So I shall go and pick those now. So there might be some branches I can reach here, but let's see if I can get some of those berries. So I've got a nice few berries there, and over there, next to the communal polytunnel, which I have to confess I never use, but there's a lovely teasel bush, so I'm going to go and get a few of the smaller heads of that to put into my wreath. So yeah, growing near the ground are some of the smaller ones, and they're spreading too much onto the path anyway, so I shall cut those and they'll make a nice addition. So along with the greenery that I collected from my other allotment and around that, and things I know that I can gather at home from the garden, I think I've got the makings of a lovely wreath or two. So let's see how we get on. So it's actually about 24 hours later now, and it's time to see if my orange slices are sufficiently dried. Let's turn that off. Yeah, that feels really nice and dry. I mean, it probably could get drier, but it's certainly dry enough for me to use today when I make my wreaths. So yeah, result, really pleased with those. Even the ones that I thought I'd done the wrong way, I think that kind of looks really nice. So yeah, lovely orange slices. Let's gather them up and take them to the other greenhouse where I'm going to be making my wreaths. So I may regret this, but I've decided to make my wreaths outside. It's such a beautiful day, even though we are on the 11th of December. And but yeah, I'm going to set up my garden bench and make the wreaths that I've had planned for a while. Let's see how we get on. So what have we got? So you see I've gathered probably an excess of materials, but there we go. So I've got lots of different greenery, including some yew there, holly, ivy, rose hips, berries, different hawthorn berries, gilder rose berries, and some other berries whose name I can't remember that we've got in the garden. I've even got some straw flowers left over, just picked, still growing. Got my oranges and a couple of peppers. I don't know whether I'll use everything, but let's see how we get on. So as well as all the greenery, then I've tried to get ready with the stuff that I will need. Now, having gone to a nice wreath workshop a couple of weeks ago, they advised using something called reel, R-E-E-L, not R-E-A-L, reel wire. And I duly sent off and purchased them. Can I find where I put it? No, I cannot. So I have been in a bad temper, it has to be said, looking everywhere for my reel wire. But in the process of looking for my reel wire, I've turned up a number of things which I think will do instead. So I do actually have a reel of garden wire. Now it's slightly thicker than what they advised using, but I've got other stuff as well. So I think this will come in useful. I've got a reel of much thicker metal wire, which my husband gave me to try to calm me down a bit. And I said, no, that's too thick, but maybe that'll have some use at some point. I've got a packet that I just found randomly in a pile somewhere of plant twists. I think that's going to come in useful because they're kind of bendy and a bit wiry, so that's useful. I know exactly what I'm going to do with those, in fact. And I've also got my trusty, I say trusty because I don't think I've actually really used this, twine. I've got pink twine and all sorts of colours twine, but this is something I bought ages ago, so I've got some twine. So I think I've got enough things to tie these wreaths together with, despite the absence of my specifically purchased reel wire. I've also got, oh, to my shame, rather dirty, but some snips and some secateurs, equally dirty. So let's give this a go. So the first thing we need to do is to make the frame for the wreath. So I'm going to do one wreath at a time, I think. I think that might be the best way to do it. I know I could do two in sort of together. So I'm going to take 3 willow canes. Now, you may not have access to willow canes. Those who follow my allotment journey will know that I have a willow arch at my riverside allotment, and I cut these down from there. In fact, I have these 3 willow canes. You don't have to use that. You can buy a metal frame for the circlet for the wreath. You can make it with some old, birch twigs are quite good for it, or you can use even brambles. If you put some heavy gloves on and run your hand up and get the thorns off, you can use brambles. They're very flexible and they bend nicely. So I'm now going to twist these 3 into a ring of sorts, and it starts off always by looking a bit of a mess, but eventually you get it into shape. So I think probably don't need those leaves on it. That doesn't matter because it's going to get lost in all sorts of reeds. So these are going to be quite big wreaths. So I think I'm just going to be, it's very tough, that last bit, but nevertheless I'm going to twist it. I got a vaguely circle-y shape there, and then going to start at the other end, so I think what I've done, this is looking a little, and it's going to sound odd, it's looking a little bit pear-shaped. But I think that's okay, because I think if I hang it like that and stick a partridge in it, a pear-shaped wreath is going to be okay, isn't it? I think so. I think it's, I'm not sure why it is pear-shaped. It's probably because I've started two ends too close to each other. So I'll learn that for next time. I've got some of these, it would really help if I knew the name of all these plants, wouldn't it? But this is from a hedge near to us. And in fact, just on our lane. And what I'm going to do is do a base layer of these, and then to put decorative stuff over the top of it. So I think to do this, I'm going to just use a long piece of string. Twine. Always still call it string, and everybody else calls it twine, which is what it is. I'm not actually entirely sure of the difference. Does anybody tell me the difference between string and twine? Anyway, right. So what I'm going to do is put them all the same way round. So the tops pointing anti-clockwise. And then I'll start off with a knot here to tie that on. But the rest don't need knots. This is just so that I can start without too much of a palaver. Okay. In fact, that knot is worse than useless because it's not tight enough. It's always tighter when you just loop them. So let's put another one over the top. A couple of three twists. And then another one. It's quite a bit bigger, that one, isn't it? Could probably do with being bigger, but for now, I'll keep them smaller. In the past, I've done this with ivy, long pieces of ivy, and wrapped it round, and that's worked nicely. Okay, so we've got to start of our base layer. It's not even or anything like that, but it will soon flash out with all of the lovely things we're going to put on top. Yeah, it's a start. So I'm going to now put that aside for a bit, and I'm going to make up several bunches of the things that are going to go around it using the different plants that I've got. So it's going to take a little bit of laying out, preparing. So like for example, where I've got berries flying everywhere. So I've got these, and obviously I'm not going to put them on as whole branches, but I will get sections that I can put in. Don't know whether to have just take off the bits that haven't got berries, but whether to have, I don't know whether to have that as a big one. Yeah, I might keep some big ones actually. So I'll snip that, and those can go onto smaller bits. It's just a case of looking at what you've got and thinking about how it will work. So that's just a sort of stick with several berries on. It's probably not usable. Yeah, might add a bit of colour to something else. And you go through each of your sort of piles of things to make some separate piles of ingredients, as it were, from which you then select to make up some bunches. And I'll show you what I mean by the bunches in a minute. Okay, so that's those prepared. Now let's have a look what I've got. I'm going to put these other willows aside for now. So I generally want to make up about 12 to 15 bunches of different things. So I'll keep things whole for now, and then I can always cut them down and see what, just to take stock of what we've got. Now I know that I haven't got a mass of holly, but I've got, yeah, I can get lots of different bits of just a couple of sprigs really. I'm going to turn the camera off for a bit and just cut down these different plants that I've got, and I'll be back with you when I've got my materials ready. So I've now finished sorting out all my bits and bobs, and it's looking quite gorgeous actually on my table here. So I've got lots and lots of different things. I'm just going to see how I get on, and I'll show you when I've reached the next stage. So right, I'm going to start with, what am I going to start with? It's a little bit overwhelming. Maybe I shall start some of these bigger ones, which are ivy with the berries in. I've picked up a rose hip there. So ivy, take a bit of this yew, piece of uncut down. I think I got a bit lazy at this point. Unidentified but pretty hedge. I've got another unidentified but pretty hedge here. I'm sure there will be people watching who can tell me what these are called. So I'm putting these into a bunch. Yeah, this is working. This is working. A little bit of holly. Let's have a privet berry. What else if we go on? Oh yeah, a bit of that marjoram flower. Just adds another bit of texture. We've got a rose hip. So I'm just holding them together with my finger here. We've got a teasel head, a straw flower. I know there won't be enough of these to go around all of them, but still. So that's looking nice. And then we'll add a bit of colour with these berries here. And some more colour with these berries here, which these ones I know are hawthorn berries. Or haw-berries. Yeah, this is getting very fruity. Yeah. And do we need... Yeah, why not? Let's have some of those as well. It's very fruity. Okay. The teasel's got a little bit lost there, but that's fine. So now what I need to do is tie that bunch. Okay, so we've got a bunch there, and I will need to make up all the rest of my bunches, and then we'll lay them all onto the wreath together. It is getting quite windy here, so I don't know if I'm going to get to finish this, but we've got it now, we've sorted out all the stuff. So I'm going to press on. I wish I could speed myself up at the same pace I could speed the video, but there we go. So I've now made quite a few bunches, I don't think enough, but because they are quite big and I don't have a sense of how they're going to all sort of fit round, I think I'm going to start tying some on and see where I get to, and then I can make enough to finish this wreath. So yeah, I'll just do it on top of all of this. Not a very tidy workplace, but let's just get going and see where we go. So I'm laying one of these bunches on top of here. Now, halfway through, I kind of chopped and changed the method that I used, and I actually think I prefer the string, the twine, although in some cases I don't think I've left enough on to tie it on properly. I'm going to get this length of string and just tie it on properly. I think that's what I'm going to do. So it's funny because different workshops and different teachers teach you different things. The first one I went to was all about reel wire for everything. The second one was about string for everything, it being more environmentally friendly, and that does kind of make sense as long as it works, and this does seem to work. So yeah, string it is. Twine. Never the twine shall meet. So there I fastened the first one on, and I'll just then carry on, just keep working around with them all sort of pointing, in this case anti-clockwise, although obviously if you could do it clockwise it would not be a problem at all. So it's coming on nicely. When you make your make the little bunches, you kind of want to have a back and a front to them, obviously not for them to be bunches in the round, because obviously you're laying them quite flat on here and you won't see the back of them so much. So yeah, it's probably obvious really, but just thought I'd say. So I think that's the last one, and I'm now going to move these aside and tie them on and see where we get to. Oh, hold it there. Quite pleased with that. It's looking very pretty anyway. But what I need to do, so as not to waste my efforts, is to tie the oranges on. So just have to make a hole in that one, but it's not got. Oh. So there it is, my lovely wreath on our door. I'm so pleased with it. It is a little bit wonky and I think maybe I've lost, oh no, there's a piece of orange there that's kind of got a bit hidden, but yeah, really pleased with that. I'm not sure if I've got the energy to make the second one I was going to make right now. In fact, I know I haven't, but if I do get a few hours over the next few days, I will make another one as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I am now completely windswept, as you can see, and yeah, I shall see you again soon. Bye bye.